I welcome you all with a heartfelt thank you. Thanks to all of you, my channel and its videos have surpassed a number of impressive milestones, and by the looks of it, the milestones are still coming. So once again, thank you. In this video, I'll be going through great lengths to try and not kill anything myself directly, even going so far as making mud indistinguishable from God, so he can do my dirty work for me. But you'll see all of that in a minute. For now, let's roll the intro.
Is that enough? Lucky.
With the inability to defend myself made very apparently clear from the very beginning of the game, I am thrust into the colony. Due to my own self-imposed challenges, I will not be able to kill anything myself directly. So, in the early stages, I am going to be doing all of my leveling up through the mission quests, which I shall gloss over because it is not really much of anything to look at. You've seen the quest to death. There's not much to mention. With the footage of what I've been doing for the first couple of hours being null and void, I'm going to take the opportunity to explain to you what I'm planning on doing. The plan is to get the control scroll as quickly as possible. The entire video more or less centers around it. Now here's a problem. You can only get the control scroll starting in chapter 3. If I go to chapter 3, I can't return to chapter 2 because of a little bit of code. Instead, what I could do is go to chapter 4, then come back to chapter 2, but you can't enter chapter 4 via chapter skipping. So I could go to chapter 5, then go back to chapter 2. But Balkadar, who sells the scroll, doesn't restock in chapter 5, so the only option is to get into chapter 3. So what I'm going to do is I shall set up the Great Invocation, but just before I go through with watching the cutscene, I will double back and with utmost expediency do what I can of chapter 2, then enter chapter 3, and then continue on with the rest of the game as if nothing happened. While doing the chore of leveling up to level 5, I make sure to grab a short bow with arrows. This will eliminate a bit of pain later. The next thing of note that I do is that I go to the storage cave of the ruined monastery, using the save load exploit to not get killed, to get the transformation scrolls. To save the transformation scrolls that I just got, I do a bit of parkour to get inside. I then continue save loading until I get to the chamber next to the Shadow Beast to get the other transformation scrolls. I then get out. I then transform into a meat bug just outside of the Orc lands, then crawl for 9 minutes into the Orc town and over the gate to get inside of the Orc Temple. Once inside, you can transform into a mole rat in order to run past all the skeletons. Then, if you smash your head into the gate and transform back, you will appear on the other side of the gate, meaning you don't have to do the puzzle. Then, a save load later, you can activate the switch to bring down the pillars. You will get hit by the Temple Guardian whilst in the cutscene, but the nice thing about Temple Guardians is that when they hit you, they don't actually kill you, they just knock you down. So once you get back up, save load and leg it. Afterwards, using the bow that you got from Cavalorn, you can do a bit of normal puzzle progression, so you can get to the little minecrawler nest that is nearby the magma lake. Grab everything, including the 2 minecrawler eggs. To get out of the Orc Temple, you need to get past the gate that you didn't open. To do so, shimmy yourself into the gate, then transform into a scavenger, and hopefully you shall appear on the other side of the gate. From there, you can run. Once back on the surface, to get out of the Orc Temple safely, you can shimmy yourself into the corner of the gate, then transform yourself into a meat bug. When you do so, you'll appear on the other side, and whilst transformed, no one will attack you, so you can safely exit the town, albeit very slowly. Before I start duplicating the eggs, I shall make my way into the inner castle, and then hand in the letter to the fire mages to get an Essence of Spirit. And whilst I'm in the castle, I might as well grab the 2 Essence of Strength potions. One which is in the guard barracks, and the other which is in a chest in Stone's smithy. And to help prevent some unfortunate cases later on, I shall grab the permanent health potions from Thoris's room as well. Now, with this being one of my videos, I of course use the potion exploit, but only a little bit. I need about 60 strength to make the later exploits a little bit more comfortable to perform. To set up the invocation, you also need the almanac. To save a long story short, I save loaded to glory. All hail save loading. Final thing we need to do is to duplicate the Minecrawler eggs. To do so, give everything you want to be duplicated to a trader via the trading menu. Then, beat up that trader. Press Ctrl 4 on him to start looting him, but instead of doing that, open and close your character sheet. Repeat this a few times. Afterwards, open and close your own inventory normally, then save your game. Afterwards, open your inventory again, then scroll all the way to the left as if you're going to his inventory, and drag all the items into your own inventory. Then you can spam tab in order to close all the inventories that you have opened, and afterwards you can loot the trader on the ground normally, and behold, you have duplicated your items. With the MacGuffins in hand, you can turn them into Cork Alarm. In return, he can give you an essence of mana as well as a healthy chunk of experience, and then he will go down to the temple courtyard where he'll await you to approach him at midnight. But until then, we have a couple of things to do. The next thing I do is join the new camp because, to be quite frankly honest, it has been a very long time since I joined the new camp. I then duplicate myself some money and get myself some fashion, because fashion is important. And now that I belong to a camp, I can enter Chapter 2. Huzzah! Now that it is Chapter 2, I can use a Transform into Bloodfire scroll, which Balcadar now stocks, to coax Nyraz to fall off a cliff and die, so I can take the focus from the ocean cliff from him. So now you can hand the focus over to Barian, and he shall send you to Cork Alarm, who will eventually send you to the Old Mine. We don't have to go to the Old Mine, however, because we've already given him the Minecrawler eggs. So I won't go to the Old Mine and will instead just go to Chapter 3 and pretend like nothing weird has happened. In Chapter 3, Balcadar finally sells the Control Scroll, and once you buy it, start duplicating it along with all of your permanent stat increasing potions. You will need a lot of them. Now that you have more than a fair share of permanent potions, you can drink the ones you want just right then and there. Here I also found out that drinking a potion shifts you ever so slightly forward, as you can see. Returning to the main quest, we let Korangar drive the plot, which leads us to the Orc Cemetery, where, upon entering it, I run past everything to get to the chamber with Baal Lucor, and I hope to God that one of the two Templars in there is still alive. I drop some potions and a good weapon for the Templar on the ground, then start controlling the Templar. Once controlled, I pick up the items, then access the Templar's inventory by looting one of the dead Templars on the ground, because otherwise the inventory is not available to control the targets. I make the Templar drink enough strength potions to be able to kill orcs with one swing of his sword, and also an arbitrarily high amount of health potions to avoid unfortunate incidents. Yep, wobbly. Casting the control spell takes longer than my upload schedule, and killing something while controlling someone ends the spell, making you cast it again. Having my augmented puppet be able to withstand an onslaught while I repossess him is important, for if he perishes, so does my ability to deal with hostile encounters. Keeping a corpse nearby is handy for combat slogs such as this, as it will allow your puppet to heal and stand fast against the leftover horrors, such as those terrorizing Baal Lucor. After clearing out all of the orcs and grabbing the two halves of the parchment, Baal Lucor gives you the teleportation scroll when entering the largest chamber of the cave. To keep the scroll for later use, you can transform into a meatbug with the Transform into Meatbug scroll, and ram yourself into the wall. By transforming back, you can place yourself behind the wall and within winching distance of the winch. After leading Baal Lucor into the hidden room, suddenly, shock, horror, not at all expectedly, he forgets himself in light of nothing being in there. Instead of killing him, he can now be controlled, letting you take his robe by dropping it through the looting inventory of that dead Templar. On your way out, don't forget to take back the potions you donated, and you might as well take the Templar's armor while you're at it. After letting Korangar know that the expedition was a failure, he sends us to collect some powerful healing herbs for Iberian as a last-ditch effort to try and stabilize him, which sadly was fruitless. He turns his attention to Iberian's last wishes, which was to help the Magicians of Water with their escape plan. After grabbing the focus and the almanac from Cork Alarm's laboratory, Kronos tells us the password to get past the mage's guards, and also sells us a respectable cache of scrolls and magic jewellery. When the audience with Satyrus is gained, we give him the almanac and the 2 focus stones we already have, and agree to find the remaining focus stones for him. Reordian also gives us a selection of potions for our efforts thus far. My quest now is to procure the 3 remaining focus stones dotted around the colony. I need an NPC to take with me around the colony that I can pump full of potions so he'll be able to deal with everything the environment has to throw. For me, there are 2 contenders, Mud and Shrat. Both will willingly follow me around the colony and are low level, so controlling them will be a lot quicker and less mana intensive than more competent NPCs such as guards. Now let's see. One is annoying and keeps interrupting conversations, the other lives in a little hut in the middle of a dangerous swamp, just about the furthest point away from anywhere where I'll be going in the game. For me, the choice is obvious. I'm choosing Mud. Should he ever disappear or run away, he will reappear in the old camp, which is the centre of the whole colony, and by being, quite literally, level 0, controlling him will be instant and free. After duplicating some more potions for good measure, I drop for Mud a load of health and strength potions, a random sword I had lying around, some stat increasing jewellery, as well as the Templar armour I acquired not too long ago. I then get Mud to beat up a nearby digger to be able to access the wealth of potions and gear he just picked up, then drink 145 Essence of Health potions and 229 Essence of Strength potions, so he'll be ready for anything guarding the focus stones. At this point, it would be wise to invest in trophy-taking skills, so controlled puppets can access their inventory more often, as more creatures will now be lootable. With Mud now following me to the ends of the earth, I made a small discovery. NPCs you control can actually level up after killing enough creatures. They technically even gain skill points, which they can't use because control NPCs can't talk to other NPCs. Otherwise, this is a bit inconvenient for me, as now it costs mana and takes time to control Mud, and the cost will gradually increase over time. After defeating the troll in the Troll Canyon, this is where I made a discovery. Not all NPCs are able to use scrolls, even if they somehow get mana. Mud, for example, cannot. As far as I'm aware, only NPCs already with mana at the start of the game can use scrolls, for example Shrat. Regardless, the focus of the Troll Canyon has now been acquired, 2 more to go. Next I tackle the Ring of Stone. The skeletons are easy enough to grind through one by one, and the Guardian didn't pose much of a threat either. Conveniently, only Mud and Milton were targeted, and the old puppeteer here was left undisturbed. Focus of the Ring of Stone acquired, 1 more to go. Before going to the mountain fort, I head as quickly as possible back to the old camp. I don't want to take Mud through the Orc lands and level up too much, or die trying, so instead, by getting far enough away from him, I get Mud to teleport back to the old camp safely, where I can pick him up later. While I'm at the camp, I can also catch a cheeky snooze to make it daytime again, and make it a more pleasurable viewing experience. You're welcome. After clearing the path to the fort, Lester was tactically bypassed, and a number of harpies were exterminated to make a safe area to transform into a meat bug and climb up to the focus. While doing so, Mud lost his mind a little bit, and somehow managed to attack my incorporeal self, so when I transformed back into a human form, I toppled over as if knocked out, mysteriously at 1 hit point. Thanks, Mud. Focus of the mountain fort acquired, got them all. When coming back down from the mountain fort, you can still talk to Lester, and he will follow you around. This being Gothic 1, he won't care that you are leading him away from where he was supposed to be. Returning to Satyrus, we hand over the focus stones, and are next tasked with getting the help of the fire magicians, putting us into Chapter 4, the narrative halfway point of the game. For our efforts thus far, Reordian gives us a few nice potions, which I do not hesitate to duplicate. Oh no, the fire magicians are dead, such an unpredictable turn of events. Satyrus's plan now is to get help from Zardos, who is hiding behind 3 elemental golems which we need to defeat to take their hearts. To do this, our puppet ideally should be able to wield a respectable bludgeon and have some affinity with magic. As discussed earlier, not all NPCs can use scrolls, let alone runes. I could find Shrat and make him adventure-worthy, or I could do something more limit-breaking. All monsters have defensive values against various forms of damage. Golems, for instance, have very high resistances to things the devs didn't want you to damage them with, making it impossible to do so in normal gameplay. I, however, am not normal, and I possess Mud, who I can force-feed strength potions until his raw damage potential exceeds the protection of the Golems, and further exceeds that of their health bars to be able to one-shot the Golems with a good swing of his mace. I shall let the rest play out itself.
Well, then I'll accept the rune of teleportation as a sign of worthiness.
Go to the old citadel in the east. You can't miss it.
Urshak no way. Stranger where Ulumulo. Stranger need Grothak, Kastak, Kashkar, and Lord Antak.
I interrupt the Unstoppable Mud compilation to tell you that entering a loading screen causes NPCs to go back to their default locations, meaning Mud went back to the old camp. This is a slight problem, as in Chapter 4 the old camp has closed its gates and will attack anyone on sight. It'll take a bit of a heist to get him out again. Getting into the camp is simple enough. You can fly over the wall as a bloodfly. To get Mud out, first take him to the south gate and clear out the guards for your safety. Then get Mud to attack through the gate, and if you're lucky, he will phase through it, further cementing that I have created the ultimate life form. You can more simply crawl under the gate as a meat bug. Heist complete, let the montage resume.
I have all 4 items for the Ulumulo.
Stranger, strong warrior be.
See you later.
It is now time to go back to the Orc Temple once again. Sadly, Mud can't be taken inside, so his usefulness ends here. Remember to take back anything you gave him that he may need later. Once you have prepared yourself, instead of fighting your way through the Orc Town, simply use the Orc Teleport Scroll from the Orc Cemetery. It'll get you behind the gate, so you can walk inside. Just like in our first visit, get past the first gate using a transformation scroll to save on stress. Later, at the first Orc Shaman, summon some skeleton friends, so they can smack the life out of him for us. It's not me that did it, so it counts. For the second Shaman, pull a pacifist maneuver and encourage friendly fire for the monsters inside to kill the Shaman for you. If you want a deeper explanation, please watch my video about beating the game at level 0. The third Shaman shall go down much like the first, with a crew of summoned skeletons. I promise you, summoned skeletons do fit the purposes of this challenge. Oh Dave, why didn't you use them before? Shut up. Now here is where the control spell returns to its rightful use case. For the fourth Shaman, lead a Templar to the Magma Lake and take control of him in order to do the first 2 switches to extend the bridge, since the demons will not attack him. I don't recommend using the third switch while controlling an NPC, as when the cutscene plays, the game gets a bit broken, and if you try and load a save, it crashes. Instead, use the Templar to kill the demon in the last room, and use the switch yourself after leading the Templar far enough away so that he doesn't attack you during the cutscene. To defeat the Shaman, stand in front of the spike trap and lure him over with a humble scroll. During the dialogue, spam the number 2 in order to pull out and put away your bow repeatedly, causing the Shaman to stall and then get impaled by his own trap. Voila! To get to the last Shaman, a switch needs to be pulled from the bottom of a lift, and the guarding Templars were convinced to fight each other or jump into chasms as I saw fit. To dispose of the last Shaman himself, the old speedrunning trick comes into use again. Once again, look at the level 0 video for details. To be honest, most of my videos use this trick near the end, so watch my videos. Beyond the 5th shaman are 2 apocalyptic Templars, who can be controlled and made to fall into the chasm nearby. In the final room of the temple, another Templar can be taken over, made to pick up the shaman's blades and pierce their hearts. Here he goes, and what's this? Kalam attacks one of his own Templars. And what's this? Naturally, the demon that is summoned beelines towards me and kills me too. Looks like this has to be done the old-fashioned way. You've seen it before. It can be done as simply as drinking a speed potion and going stib, stab, stibbity, dibbity, stab. Anticlimactic, but certainly the way to do it. And no, that didn't technically kill the sleeper. And with this, the video concludes. For a few parting words, thank you for sticking around for as long as you have, and also for waiting an entire year for a new video. I didn't have much time to make anything worthwhile over Christmas. It may or may not have been due to our Lord and Saviour Baldur's Gate 3. And the new year in general has been quite difficult for me. Advanced education does a number on a person. Thankfully the numbers weren't as big as Mud's. But yes, hope you enjoyed. Do make sure to look after yourselves.